Bing bing bom bom ba-dum ba bom ba-dum ba bom ba-dum bom bang. Hey, my name's Sophie.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Alana.
And this is the Murder Cast. Today we're talking about the case of JonBenet Ramsey.
So JonBenet was a 6-year-old pageant queen who was murdered in her own home in Boulder, Colorado. Her parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, were unaware of her death until the morning of December 26, 1996.
So now we're going to talk about the timeline. And on Wednesday, December 25th, it was the last time JonBenet's parents say they saw their daughter alive. And her 9-year-old brother, Burke, was at home that night, which will become very important later. And on Thursday, December 26th, Patsy Ramsey, the mother, around 5:30 reports finding a note on the back staircase of the house. And the note was a ransom note, and it said that their daughter had been kidnapped.
The ransom note was really weird because there was like random misspellings and there was like an exact amount. So
yeah,
we're going to read the note to you.
And it was written in their house, like with their pens and their paper from their office.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously, if they were home, like...
Yeah. It sounded, like, comedic, too. It wasn't...
It was stupid.
The sign-off of the note was victory.
Yeah.
It wasn't, like sincerely blah, blah, blah. It was just victory.
And then it gave, like, initials, like, SBTC.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, so the note said... Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully. We're a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. We XX respect your business, but not your country that it serves. At this time, we have your daughter in our possession. She is safe and unharmed, and if you want her to see 1997, you must follow our instructions to this letter. You will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $100,000 will be in $100 bills and the remaining $18,000 in $20 bills. Make sure that you bring an adequate size attaché to the bank. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Yeah, that's a word.
When you get home, you will put the money in a brown paper bag. I will call you between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow to instruct you on delivery. The delivery will be exhausting, so I advise you to be rested. If we monitor you getting the money early, we might call you early to arrange an earlier delivery of the money and hence an earlier delivery pickup of your daughter. Any deviation of my instructions will result in the immediate execution of your daughter. You will also be denied her remains for proper burial. The two gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you, so I advise you not to provoke them. Speaking to anyone about your situation, such as police, FBI, etc., will result in your daughter being beheaded. If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. If you alert bank authorities, she dies. If the money is in any way marked or tampered with, she dies. You will be scanned for electronic devices, and if any are found, she dies. You can try to deceive us, but be warned that we are familiar with law enforcement and countermeasures and tactics. You stand a 99% chance of killing your daughter if you try to outsmart us. Follow our instructions and you stand a 100% chance of getting her back. You and your family are under constant scrutiny as well as the authorities. Don't try to grow a brain, John. You are not the only fat cat around, so I don't think that killing will be difficult. Don't underestimate us, John. Use the good southern common sense of yours. It is up to you now, John. Victory. SBTC. And so the note was weird because words like attaché were spelled correctly, but simple grammar and spelling mistakes were found throughout the note, like possession spelled wrong and business. And it sounds very cartoonish, and it uses a lot of exclamation points and language that people don't typically use, like fat cat. And the number is oddly specific because it later found out to be the amount of money John got for his Christmas bonus.
Yeah, and like the amount of money and how he gets the money was really weird, like in the $20 bills. And it was just like super weird because it was the exact amount. So the Ramseys call the police, who begin an investigation into what they believe is a kidnapping. John Ramsey searches the home and discovers JonBenet's body in a spare room in the basement that was used to hide Christmas presents. So he was the one to find the body. And she was strangled with an electrical cord, and her mouth and neck had been bound with duct tape, which was all supplies from their house. So it would have been something they had to search for, which would be weird that killers wouldn't come with their own stuff. Monday, December 30th, the police took blood and DNA samples from her and her family. And JonBenet's half-siblings were out of town during the murder, so they weren't considered suspects. So then Tuesday, December 31st, JonBenet is buried in Marietta, Georgia.
And now we're going to talk about the suspects in order from least to most likely.
Okay, so first we have Linda Hoffman. We don't know how to...
P-U-G-H.
Yeah, that. Just whatever that is. She was a housekeeper for the Ramseys, and she was known to carry a key to the home, which is why people suspected her in the first place. And while she was being speculated and everything, instead of confessing, she claimed that Patsy Ramsey accidentally killed JonBenet, which is kind of weird, because why would you throw her under the bus? And eventually she was just never formally accused of the crime. Next we have Michael Helgoth, the electrician for the family. He was a suspect because officials found a boot print similar to his near the Ramsey home at the time of the murder.
Yeah, because there was snow on the ground.
And he had possible motivation to seek revenge on the family and kidnap JonBenet. But unfortunately he committed suicide before anybody could get to him and before he could go into questioning for the crime.
Which is very
That's really suspicious.
Yeah, and he remains cleared by both DNA and his own death, so like...
He's out.
He's out. Next is Gary Oliva. He was a known sex offender in the community.
Creep.
Yeah. Police allegedly found a magazine cutout of JonBenet Ramsey in his backpack.
That's really weird.
He was heard calling somebody on the phone saying, "I hurt a little girl," over and over again, and crying.
And that was like right whenever everything was getting speculated.
Yeah. And it was later found that he attempted to choke his mother with a telephone cord, which was
similar.
Similar to how JonBenet Ramsey died.
Yeah.
But he was cleared by DNA testing, and he was recently charged with 2 counts of sexual exploitation of a child possessing child pornography.
Creep.
So he's still a creep.
Still a creep to this day. Is this the weird one? Oh yeah, this is. This is
Santa?
the really weird one. Yeah.
Okay, well this is Bill McReynolds. He was a family friend of the Ramseys and dressed up as Santa Claus the week before the murder to entertain the neighborhood children at one of Patsy's Christmas gatherings. He was rumored to have paid a little too much attention to JonBenet, and he arranged a secret visit from Santa Claus on Christmas Day. He had chosen JonBenet to be his special friend, and when he went into surgery for his heart, he brought a vial of glitter given to him by JonBenet, and he told his wife that if he died, to cremate him and mix the glitter into his ashes.
Yeah.
Which is real weird.
No. No.
I don't like that.
No, that's creepy.
But there was no real evidence of him committing the crime.
Okay, I would understand, like, maybe if you were closer to the family or something, like,
But
it
he
was
just
your
wasn't.
mom, but just wasn't.
He just
it was
wasn't. He was
some
just a
random
weirdo.
Santa guy, like, okay. Like, I know, like, JonBenet knew him and everything, and obviously she's sick, so she's gonna be, like, attached to Santa Claus, you know? But, like, really to that point where, like, he wants his ashes mixed with
the
her glitter.
into my ashes.
Like, he's too obsessed with her.
Yeah.
Okay, and next we have John Mark Carr. He was a former school teacher, and he was arrested in Thailand, where he had been living after facing child pornography charges in the U.S. So he's already sketchy.
Yep.
So he kind of ran away from his...
Yep, he ran away from his problems.
Me too.
Me too.
He confessed out of the blue to the strangulation of JonBenet in graphic sexual detail. And he reached out to a teacher He reached out to a professor named Michael Tracy over email, and that's who he confessed the crime to. It says he recalls strangling JonBenet in a love game gone wrong, which is really weird. I don't
Excuse me?
I don't know what he meant by that.
That's really weird.
Yeah.
He wrote a series of diary entries allegedly written from the scene of the crime. And I will read you guys one real quick.
Okay.
It says, "Close your pretty eyes, sweetheart. Daxis loves you so much. Oh God, I love you, JonBenet. And my lover's eyes are slowly closing." He refers to himself as Daxis, which is why.
Okay, well, she's a 6-year-old girl and he's like 30.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
That's really weird. Nice one.
Sorry.
Okay, well, he was dismissed, obviously, like everybody else.
Everybody else.
Literally, her case, I feel so bad. May that girl, like, rest in peace, because literally every single suspect is just cleared.
They're just
No.
not.
Maybe it was like a
suspect.
cover-up.
She
of, like,
lived a really weird life if, like, all these weirdos are obsessed with her.
Yeah,
like,
she did. Doesn't that? Yeah,
she's
that kind
bound
of
to
makes
get
you
murdered,
think.
like,
Like, all these weirdos in her life.
Like, who
That
obsesses
poor
over
girl.
a 6-year-old girl?
I know.
Apparently everybody in this town.
Well, I mean, it was a smaller town.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of
Still.
people knew. And, I mean, she was gorgeous.
And she
her
was
mom-
well known too. She was a
Yeah.
pageant queen and everything, and her mom was
Yeah,
also
just
a
her, like her
pageant
mom.
queen.
Her mom was a pageant queen. So people knew the Ramseys, and her dad was particularly well at his business. So, I mean, they knew. They were
It's
well
like,
off.
Who carries a photo of their, like, a random little girl?
Yeah, well, her teacher, Carr, did. So, there you go.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so now we're getting into the family suspects, which a lot of people are turning towards, other than like outside, because all the weird things, like the note was like paper from the home, and all the weapons used to kill her were from the home. So everyone's really pointing fingers at the family, which I don't know how I feel about that.
I
but-
feel like, they're right to suspect some things.
Yeah, I mean, the poor the mom died. She died of cancer a couple years ago. So she's been cleared.
Obviously.
Yeah, and then Burke and John, so.
So first we have Burke Ramsey, who was her 9-year-old little brother. Or wait, older brother.
Yeah, he's older.
So he was older at the time. This is really weird. He had an interview with Dr. Phil,
Bruh,
in which
I
the
watched that. It
whole
was so
time,
weird.
the
Yeah.
entire time, he was smiling.
Yeah, there's something wrong with him, I think. Like, who smiles when they're talking about the murder of their little sister? And even if, like, he wasn't that close, they were talking about the mom that died of cancer, and he was still smiling.
Maybe he's like camera,
No,
like when
his
someone's
reason for that
Well, I
was
mean, you wouldn't
because-
really be smiling if they're talking about how your sister and your mother died.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
that's
Dr.
kinda
Phil was
weird.
like, "Why are you smiling?" And he said he's just nervous, but like that's just
But, like-
not like.
I mean,
That's not
he's
an
been in
excuse.
kind of the spotlight all his life. I mean,
Yeah.
as soon as JonBenet died, he was questioned
I think
multiple
there was
times.
some mentally ill problems
Yeah, I
in
think
his
so.
family,
And
like,
also the
all over this
parents
case.
tried to keep him hidden from everything.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't in the
Well,
spotlight
I mean,
for a long
he
time.
was 9, and this is traumatizing. It's not like, oh, my sister died. Like, I mean, that's traumatizing. Like, if it really is not him or anybody in the family, like, that's scary.
Yeah.
Like, they died. She died in the house. Like, he was there. So, all right, get into the
Okay.
little details.
So, on the autopsy, it says that there was a gash found in JonBenet's head the size of a flashlight,
Man, the photos are just disgusting.
which means that Burke Ramsey could have just hit her in the head with a flashlight on accident if she made him mad or something. But there was no
wasn't
evidence of that. So.
strangulation found
Well,
to be
there was
first?
Yeah, that was
there
first.
was they couldn't figure out if it was first.
Well, I mean, I bet because the gash was pretty big in her head.
Why would you
So
hang
may-
someone after?
Well, actually, there is. It's proving that she was strangled first, or something to do with that, because there was DNA found underneath her fingernails because she was
Because
scratching.
there was a struggle.
Yeah, so it might have been strangulation. They might have been. So yeah.
But honestly, I don't think.
I don't think it's Burke.
I don't think
Everyone
it's Burke.
thinks it's Burke, but I really just don't. Like Sophie
Sophie, what do you
Sophie
think?
thinks
I
it's
feel like
her.
it could be because
Maybe, but I don't know. He was 9 at the
there
time.
was also 2 marks on her neck that was like it matched up to like his toy train. He could have hit her in the neck, and then the parents had to cover it up with like doing all the things to her.
Yeah, I mean,
and,
all in all, I don't
writing
feel like
the
a
ransom note.
I don't feel like a 9-year-old would really want to.
Especially thinking about like the time this happened, like
It's just
early
yeah,
in the
the
morning.
he wouldn't be
like,
awake.
I feel like the parents wrote it
maybe.
because they
Yeah.
were covering up for something or someone.
Unless it
Yeah,
was someone
well-
from his business because
Yeah.
they knew about his.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Like they need to check out like
They need to check out.
all the guys from his work because they like just anyone that knew about his specific amount of money because like it has to be someone that
Yeah.
knew that.
Well, getting into that, John Ramsey is the next suspect. There were no footsteps in the snow outside of the house except for the ones that I talked about earlier.
The
The
boot
electrician,
prints
the boot
in the-
that was
in the
already
home.
It could
there.
have been earlier.
There was
But
earlier.
It was
they were
2
already
sets
there.
of boot prints, though.
Yeah,
They
but
found
that's
2
just
sets.
from earlier. Like people on Christmas Day like walked around and stuff.
I
Yeah, well, not in their yard.
Yeah, there weren't any
The parents could be lying though
anything like that. Yeah, they could.
about
They could be.
who went to their house.
Yeah. Well, they did have a Christmas party
Yeah,
the
they did have
night
a Christmas
before,
party.
so that could have just been that.
Maybe someone was like hiding, waiting. You know?
Yeah. John almost immediately found JonBenet in the basement when he was asked to search for her, along with the police. He went directly to the basement. He didn't go anywhere else. Like, the first thing he thought was the basement, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, kind of
Like,
weird.
How
he
did you
knew.
know that? You know?
He had been told to leave everything as it was when he found her, but instead he carried her dead body upstairs and laid her down, and removed the duct tape from her mouth, and covered her up with a throw blanket, which is destroying vital physical evidence,
Yeah, there
which
was
is
so
kind of
many.
sketch.
And he's told that, like, you think if you find your daughter's body, like, you want to figure out who killed them, so you would leave it.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
that
I
you
also
can.
understand, like, you want to, like,
You should follow police orders no matter
Yeah.
what, though. Like, if you're wanting to solve it.
yeah, and no real evidence was found to prove allegations, but, like, the note, like, who else would really know
Yeah.
about his, like, earnings?
Patsy.
Exactly.
Yeah, Patsy would know, and she is the next and final suspect on our list. Unfortunately, she died in 2006, so there was like no more
From cancer.
that she
Yep.
could have really talked about and like defended herself against. What am I trying to say? Like some of the sources that we found said that
Oh.
she accidentally or purposely slammed the little girl's head against the side of a bathtub or something.
I just don't believe that at all.
I don't think so.
No. I feel like that just, like, should be ruled out.
Okay, if
because-
she bashed her head against like the
I don't know how you
bathtub.
do that on accident
Oh,
either.
okay, yeah, and why would the
think,
gash
like,
be like on top of her
Yeah.
head? Like unless you like, I don't know.
Like
I
her
don't want to
neck
think about. I really
moved
just.
in a weird way or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's sad.
The rope and the wire that were used to strangle JonBenet were tightened with a paintbrush, and all of those
Material.
materials were found like
From
in
her craft
um,
room.
Yeah,
her
they-
craft room.
And
Dun,
you would
dun,
have
it was
to go
from-
specifically in there and know all of that.
It was from within the house, and if you were like trying to kill somebody, wouldn't you like
would
bring
bring your own supplies.
Yeah.
supply? You
Bring
wouldn't
your
just-
own
You wouldn't just
supplies.
rely
Or, like,
on
do
the
it with
supplies
your
of your
mouth.
family in the house.
Yeah.
She would know John's Christmas bonus, obviously, and how much money to ask for. The note was written from paper and pen from within the house. So, I mean, things aren't looking good for this family.
That is why they're, like, the number one suspect.
It's speculated that she could have written the note herself in a panic due to accidentally or purposely killing her daughter and not knowing what to do about it.
Yeah, but why wouldn't you call like 911?
She's dumb.
I
Why
mean-
would you make it the amount that your husband...
Unless she hated JonBenet.
She was weird. She was a weird girl. She...
Mental issues in this family. Like,
This
Yeah.
whole family just mental
there's something
issues.
wrong with them. Like,
Yeah. Okay, and here's like random details. So, there was DNA of a man found on JonBenet's underwear, and this was later found to be the DNA of a factory worker who was packaging the underwear before he sold it, which is kind of weird.
What the heck?
The upper kitchen lights were on at midnight before JonBenet was found dead, and the neighbor, Melody Stanton, heard a scream in the neighborhood. Steve Thomas notes placed the time of the scream are between midnight and 2 a.m. And police who searched...
The parents would hear that if they were asleep.
Yeah.
If a neighbor did.
Police who searched the house said it was messy, but there was no sign of a struggle. The officers failed to search the wine cellar room where JonBenet was eventually found dead, which her dad found her there. And then the train room in the basement had a broken window, supposedly broken into. It wasn't like broken, it was like broken
there was
into.
snow on the ground and there was no footprints leading from it.
So, yeah,
I mean,
that's...
overall, this case is really weird.
I know.
Parents are dumb if, they did it.
I feel bad. I mean, they lost their little girl, but I mean, it could have been them.
Yeah.
It could have been them.
I mean,
but-
I don't think the police helped either. Like, just the way that it was handled just wasn't
not
well
good.
either. And starting from, like, the crime scene was contaminated and just... So, yeah, poor girl. And let JonBenet rest in peace. I feel bad for her. But, yeah, so that's pretty much it.
So,
So-
comment down below.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.